very nicely. The wave dissolves on the inside, and OVJ is on the board with wave number 1. What we mentioned, this is brought to you by AccesSurf, also North Shore, Prosthetics, and Orthotics, our main headline sponsor here. And I'd like to also thank Southwest Airlines, the Kioia Hotel Group, Hyatt Regency Hotel right here, the Twin Fin and Alohilani Hotels, High Fives Foundation, the Hawaii Tourism Association, Pasha Hawaii, Ultras, the HR company, Indie.club, a nonprofit for adaptive athletes, Challenge Athlete Foundation, Hawaii Pacific University, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Kaialoha Supply, and Hula Grills. So we got much more sponsors to thank, but those are just some of the few that have stepped up big time for this year's Hawaii Adaptive Surf Championships.
Yes, sir. We can't do it without the sponsors, without the volunteers, and that's what we want to showcase here today, Rocky, and during this whole week is the elevation of adaptive surfing to the professional level, what these athletes can do. We're not just disabled surfers. These guys are just real surfers. They're going to show you out here all day, every day, what they can do. You're going to see a really high elevated styles of adaptive surfing in different disciplines, different boards, different styles, and people from all over the world. I think we have 18 countries, athletes from 18 countries here, Rocky.
Well, and what I really enjoy about watching these events is the creativity. Because it's adaptation, obviously, due to, different things that athletes are dealing with, from head to toe. Everybody's got something that they're having to adapt to and adapt with. But the creativity in riding waves and how different useful limbs are placed in different parts of the board, that to me is just a real highlight of the creativity of each athlete, the capabilities of each athlete as well. And you look, and going back to surfing as a Hawaiian sport, a Hawaiian cultural sport, way back in the day, you see all kinds of wave riding, prone, knee riding, standing, and then you just get into so many different styles. And each surfing is that one athletic activity that crosses over. I think it kind of blurs the line of sport and art. And so the art form of these adaptive surfers is just one that is very special to me to witness, especially firsthand, and then to be here to talk about the things that these surfers do is really an honor for me.
Yeah, Rocky, you talk about the art form, so in the styles of surfing, but then you get on the beach and you look at the art form and the styles of boards and how creative they have to be and where they put the handles and how they put the fin setups and where the rocker is, and so many different things that they have to discuss with a shaper that really turns it into a different kind of art form. And then you start seeing that and you go, man, these guys are not only are they displaying knowledge of how to ride, but they're displaying the knowledge of what to ride and why to ride it and why you're doing it. So on many levels we're creating, and here we go. We got somebody taking off right now, Rock, and it looks like White taking off, getting into this one. Nice snap, but digs the nose, Rocky. Couldn't dig that out, but if he could have pulled that off, Rocky, that would have been very beautiful. That was Toby Begg rocking that one right there. Red taking off on this one.
Yeah, here we go. Masa Kobayashi in the red. Nice looking wave off the start, but that wave unfortunately ran away from him and got caught in the closeout. But Toby Begg, nice style. Almost looked like he's working, backhand with his body facing, his back towards the wave. Went off the bottom nicely, just a little too late coming back down. The nose caught in, and you talk about equipment and, all the creativity that goes into that. Oh, somehow that was Scott Patterson nearly putting the nose under, but recovers just to complete that drop right there. Was an amazing feat in itself, but no maneuvers. That'll be low on the scoring scale. Let's talk a little bit about scoring and, how these surfers in this division can get big scores.
So typically speed, power, flow, critical maneuver in the critical part of the wave. That's all the standard for surfing. That's the standard for us as well. We do add a length of ride at the very bottom there because sometimes, we got to milk it for all we can. And so we add that to it. But speed, power, flow, critical maneuvers in the critical spot of the wave. The size of the wave makes a big difference. We got a double peak takeoff right here. It looks like, I can't tell what color that is. It looks like Oliver OVJ, as Rocky dubbed him. He's sitting on a 4.17, so this is going to help his scores right here. He's going to lay a second score on the board. Everybody's sitting on a single wave score. It's OVJ in first with a 4.17. He'll better that score with this, whatever this score is. And it looks like Scott Patterson with that incomplete score with a 2. Masafumi Kobayashi with a single score wave of a 1.43, and Toby Begg with a single wave score of a 1.33. And again, you're going to notice here, Rocky, the different styles in the boards of each guy and how they ride and all the style difference.
Well, and I notice little variations, obviously in the length of board. Depending on each surfer's desire for paddling power or wave catching and maneuverability. All those things factor in as they would in your conventional surfing surfboard shapes. And then, so tell us a little bit about the format too, the system here, because it is not just like top 2 advance to the next round and keep going. It's a different format to adapt to the field of competitors here, and also give these surfers the most ability to showcase their skills rather than just having a one-heat shocker and being out of the event. There's multiple opportunities.
Yeah, Rocky, we developed a round-robin style. So for any heat that has 4 or less, they will go for a single round robin. They'll get to surf twice, take 2 scores out of any one of those. So they'll surf a heat during the day, during the week, and then they'll have a half an hour heat on that final day. We don't want anybody to feel left out on finals, so we don't want you to surf your round robin during the week while everybody celebrates on finals day. So, but anybody with the stacked heats with 8 or more, you're going to get round robin. Top 8 move forward into the single elimination semifinals, and after that, it's single elimination. Top 2 forward move forward.
So I like that combination of because I've worked tons of events, and our most conventional surfing event, as we watch White, we'll take a break from that explanation and watch Toby Begg for an off-the-top attempt, and could not work it back down. Here's red. This is Masa Kobayashi, and Masa getting around that corner, looking for the open face. Nice work down the line, finds a cutback section, and he's riding a really short board for maneuverability. Maybe compromising the speed across the line on that one, but definitely fit in a maneuver there for Masa.
Great story about Masa's board, and here goes Yellow catching this one. And Yellow up and riding. Scott Patterson from Canada looking for a good score right here, riding a longer board so he can kind of connect those insiders. So you can see the difference between Scott's board and Moss's board. Moss's board was shaped by Mark Mono Stewart, who will be coming up in the next heat and who's a multi-time world champion in the AASP and the ISA. Mono actually airbrushes boards for Mark Richards. So he's been airbrushing boards for Mark Richards for, 2 decades. So we have a lot of surf history in this heat. Talking about the equipment, you can see some of those surfers, Mono's passing on the knowledge of what he's learned, why he's learned it, and he's given that to one of his competitors, Rocky. So that's the kind of the camaraderie that you have in this adaptive surfing community.
Well, right now it is Oliver Vaughn Jones in first, OVJ with the top spot in the heat right now. Scott Patterson holding on to second, and it's kind of anybody's game for that second place spot with Toby Begg needing a 5.61, Masa needing a 5.51, and about 9 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. And up and riding, that'll be White. That is Toby Begg. Toby currently in third. Nice opening slash. Slipped off the board right there for turn number 2, but did complete a first maneuver. So I've worked many events with the single elimination style, the WSL format. So going back to the Advanced Triple Crown, all those events are just you get single elimination, and then the format for the Eddie Aikau, where you just go out and surf and compile your scores. I like that. The backdoor shootout, the Hawai'i backdoor shootout, adopting that same kind of format. But then this Vance Pipe Masters came along the last couple of years and adopted the format of combining the two. So the best surfers, you get a couple rounds to get your best scores, and then you move into an elimination kind of semifinal into a final, which I like that combo, which sounds like what we're working with for some of these divisions, which I think the future of surf competition should move in that direction of the round robin kind of non-elimination, get your best scores, because in 20 minutes, the ocean can do so many different things. It's almost not fair to have someone relegate their entire competition, experience down to 20 minutes of a one-heat elimination. So I believe moving this format into giving surfers a few opportunities, different times of days, on different days, to have the best scores, that is kind of the fairest way to do it, and, the most entertaining.
Yeah, Rocky, one of the reasons why we did develop this style of not single elimination, it looks like white, Toby Begg just ripping cutback right there, getting it down the line. Another nice turn. He's going to make sure he doesn't slip off right there. Stays with the pocket a little bit. This one's kind of dying down in the deep spot, but the work is done right there. So the reason why we really developed this style of at least surfing twice is when I came out here in 2014, it was single elimination, and I lost by half a point. And so I said, you know what? If we get the opportunity to throw events and do something, we're going to change the format a little bit, at least where every surfer gets 2 chances to surf. That way you can at least have the opportunity to surf maybe on 2 different days. Maybe that one day is the dip of the swell. Maybe the next day is where the swell's pumping, and you get that opportunity. You can take scores from either day, from either heat, and you can better your scores, or you can keep the scores that you had from the previous day.
Yeah, that is a really, I think, innovative format to work with, and I'm glad to see it being used here. So we had a lead change. Toby Begg, that last score, was able to get a 3.8, move to first place. That puts OVJ down to second, and that increases the requirement for Scott Patterson and Masa Kobayashi. And Scott Patterson on that longer board, he'll be able to get the waves maybe a little further out, but you also will speak to the priority system that we work with here. But Masa, if he can get the open face with that shorter board, I think he's going to be able to, use that opportunity to hopefully get that 6.43 that he needs to move into the second place position. But it doesn't matter right now, because I think these guys are all going to surf again. So they're just compiling scores, trying to get their best waves. The best keeper on the board so far is Oliver's 4.17, but we've seen scores in this division from heat number 1 really elevate the competition, kind of start off with a bang. So these guys got quite the pace to keep.
Yeah, Rocky, we got 5:30 left in this heat. Toby Begg making it known. He said, you know what, I'm going to come out here, do a couple carves, catch a couple nice ones. We're getting some really good conditions right now. That's the tide's dropping a little bit. It starts picking back up right about 11:30. There's not a huge tide swing. What we're dealing with right now is the wind. The winds for the first day in a week is blowing the wrong way. So we've got slight onshore wind. Hopefully that will cease after tomorrow. Today should be the last day that we have these, they call them the trade winds. Yep, so this will be the last day we have the trade wind onshore. Every day after this should be nice offshore breeze. And, we're sitting on a nice little heat. These guys are punching it out a little bit. Everybody else look like yellow dropping in right there, Scott Patterson. And you'll notice some things about Scott. He paddles for everything, bro. He wants to catch every wave he can. And even though we're using priority out here, Rocky, it's first to take off, last in line. So there's no paddle priority, get back to the peak, and then you have priority, because people with different disabilities have different abilities and limitations. So you might be able to paddle faster than this person, and you might consistently get out there faster and consistently have priority over these people. So what we do to make that more even is we say first to take off goes to fourth priority, and then that way everybody gets a chance to at least sit on the peak, catch one good wave.
Yeah, I like that format too, and which levels the playing field. And even in your conventional surf events with the priority, it was when I grew up in competition years ago, it was basically you could just bully the peak. So priority definitely kind of smooths that out and evens it out for everybody. So great system to have here at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships as well. 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, and this is just the first of a couple heats that these guys will surf. So and I'm looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm in my head. I got to remind myself it doesn't matter top two right now. It just matters the scores that they're getting. So. The keeper for OVJ is a 4.17. Toby Begg's got a 3.8 so far as his highest score. And I believe all these divisions today that we'll see are the round-robin style that will be surfing multiple heats, regardless of their performance today, which is, quite the blessing and opportunity to experience this beautiful wave. I mean, this is, some of the... so many folks have rode their first wave here, across the world, and makes this place very special. So glad to have it. Here's White, Toby Begg, up and riding again. A nice slash. He's got those backhand carves down pat. I like the weight distribution, the wave reading, wave judgment all comes into play here.
Yeah, Rocky, it looks like he's got his equipment pretty dialed. It's not too long. It's not too short. It's long enough for him to paddle into some of these softer waves, and it's short enough for him to kick that tail, get that drift, and, challenge the top third of the wave. And I say this a lot when I'm commentating and calling these heats. The judges want to see you challenge the top third of the wave. They don't, if you're doing that carving turn, if you're doing it in the midsection of the wave, it's not going to score as high as if you're at that top third and you're really taking the top off of that thing and you're really displaying more speed, power, and flow at the top of the wave, the more critical spot. That's where you're going to get a lot more of those higher scores in combination with tying maneuvers together. So it's a little bit tough right now with the tide still a little bit fat. You can see a few of these connecting. Last heat, I think we had Sponge Llewellyn Williams scoring an 8.5, the first excellent score of the competition. But we also had Josh Bogle throwing down a 6.60 and a 6.5. So there's some really good mid-range, above average scores that we're able to get connected. Now, we saw a few of those waves connecting farther on the inside right now, but with this little trade wind bumping it a little bit, we're getting a little bit of that soft section on the inside. So the people that get those ones that can connect through, Rocky, are going to be able to get a little bit of those higher scores.
Yeah, and that was yellow right there, Scott Patterson. We've seen that a couple of times from him burying the nose, and it might be just a little tricky with the longer board in these conditions. Not quite fitting in the wave, so we'll see if he changes up equipment going forward. But he has definitely experienced that little bit of pearl nosedive a couple of times here, so we'll see how he adjusts going forward. Outside in the red, here's Masa Kobayashi, and our surfer from Japan, scooting on down the line, trying to find something in the open face, but just not going to find much to work with there in terms of scoring potential. And here's Black. This is Oliver Vaughn Jones. OVJ. Just a short ride. Everybody scrambling. The heat about to end. And there is the end of heat number 2 in our kneeling and upright men's division.
56 seconds to the start of the next heat.
And so we'll be standing by for heat number 3. And once again, these are non-elimination heats, so placings are obsolete, do not matter. But we'll tell you some of the scores. Keeper for OVJ was a 4.17. Keeper for Toby Begg in the white, a 3.8. 2.0 high score for Scott Patterson in yellow, and Masa with a 2.1 in the red jersey. I'm sure those surfers would like to elevate those scores in their next round. But this is the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship. Rocky Cannon with Chaka Webb, the Rocky and Chaka experience here at Waikiki. honored to have such a avid competitor and ambassador of adaptive surfing with us here today. And we're counting down to start for heat number 3. Mark Mono Stewart will be in the red jersey, a legend in this division. Michael Foti in the white, Dario Melendez in the yellow. And you mentioned the international field here. 2 Australians, Mark and Michael, and Costa Rican, Dario Melendez.
Dario, Poppy as we like to call him. Oh, Mono dropping. Mono with a sick bottom turn, carving it up, getting it back into the pocket. Mono challenging this one. Little mid drift right there. Looking for a top turn right there. Mono milking this one, getting a little top snap right there. Mono doing all the work on that one. We're going to look for a high score on that one. And, you know, I was going to tell you, Rocky, in that last heat, Massa finished 3rd in the Australian event in March. So he's going to be looking forward to getting out there again. But Mono really just throwing it down. Dariel dropping on a big one right there. Not able to make it work too much. We'll see what that comes out to. But we're expecting to see a pretty good score for Mono right here.
You know, his release of his hands off the board for his bottom turns, the way he twists his hips into those really, you know, I like to say, you know, your bottom turn sets up your top turn. And it really is, you know, the opening maneuver, even though it doesn't really get scored in air quotes. But the bottom turns of Mark Mono Stewart right there were just speed, power, flow, the style. I love the letting go of the board, letting the hips and the knees do the work, and then that set up a lot of his ability to get to the top of the wave. Like you said, that critical section of the wave, so important for the scores. And I got it here, 8.33, excellent score. That is going to be a keeper.
Yeah, so obviously there's been a very long rivalry between Mono and Sponge. And there's a few other guys that are coming into that rivalry. Dariel's one of those guys. Michael Foti's been showing up on the scene. Massa, again, has been showing up on the scene. But this thing's been going back and forth between Sponge and Mono for a couple years. Sponge last year really made his mark, won the U.S. Open for his 2nd time, and claimed his first AASP World Championship. So, Sponge really looking to do some work, and Mono seeing that from the beach goes, no, I saw your 8.5. I want to throw down some excellent scores too. So he shows up with an 8.33 on his first score, Rocky. We're seeing some battles already.
I want to welcome all of you watching on the AccesSurf YouTube channel. That is where this event is featured, so pass that along to your friends and family and watch some of the best adaptive surfing in the world going on at one of the premier locations in the world here at Waikiki, home of Duke Kahanamoku and all of the legendary watermen and beach boys and beach girls that have delivered surfing to so many folks around the world. Right here in this vicinity. So Mark Mono Stewart from Australia, he won the inaugural ISA Adaptive Surfing Championships in La Jolla in 2015. So we're talking 11 years ago now. That is more than a decade ago. 8-time Australian champion. And in 2023, became the first adaptive surfer to achieve the perfect heat score of 210s. In an international final, and was only achieved by 4 other surfers just even across pro surfing. So etching his name into the history books and into surfing royalty, and able to achieve 210s in a heat, a perfect score of 20 is quite the feat of any surfer across any division whatsoever. So Mark Mono Stewart, we're watching a true legend right now, and sitting out there in the red jersey. You mentioned Michael Foti, also from Australia. He's been, a little bit newer to the game than Mark Mono Stewart, but has been coming on strong. And then, as you said, Papi Melendez, Dario Melendez from Costa Rica. Great surfing nation there in Costa Rica. So much talent, so many good waves. Not surprising to see them represented here in this Adaptive Surfing Championship.
Yeah, Mono's old school 2015 ISA guy. I actually got to represent the U.S. at that event. I got 5th place. It was a great event for parasurfing, for the parasurfing platform. There's a big push to get into the Paralympics, and we've been trying for quite a while. So we just got the decline for the 2028. So now it's off to 2032 in Brisbane, and that's the goal right now. So Mono, big ambassador, Surfing Australia really jumped in with their national event, tying their national event to our professional event. So they run their nationals in Byron the day before we start our professional event, and that way more Australians that come to the professional event can take part in the national event, or vice versa. If they're showing up to the national event, they can actually take part in the professional event. You get the best of both worlds. They pick their national team to represent at the ISA during that event, and then we run our event the next day, and we run it up. And it really ties the events together, really increases the national footprint for the Australian national event. So really awesome relationship that we have with them.
And just the volunteers you mentioned, as the surfers are waiting for the next set of waves. Man, this heat started with a bang. That set was legit, that Mono Stewart was able to pull off and get that 8.33. But the amount of volunteers that we have with their hands and their hearts, it really is a very, very wonderful example of the sense of community. And this is something that I kind of made up while I was commentating our Menehune surfing contest in Hawai'i. That event has been going for 48 years. But you cannot spell the word community without the word unity. And you can't spell the word unity without the letters U and I. So it truly is a community event. I am Rocky Cannon. This is Chaka Webb. It's Rocky and Chaka bringing you live action with some double shakas at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships. And Chaka, so honored to have you here.
Yeah, brother, we're sharing a mic right now just in case you guys didn't know. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, but Rocky, it's great to be here. We're super stoked. You saw me looking at my phone a little bit. I wasn't messing around. I was looking back at some past stuff from the website of the AdaptiveSurfingProfessionals.com, looking at the rankings, just making sure I'm giving you guys the correct information. Mark Mono Stewart, 3-time Adaptive Surfing World Champ. Llewellyn Sponge Williams coming out last year, snatching that championship right from Mono. And these guys have been battling back and forth on the ISA event. Sponge has pulled, I think, 2 back-to-back world championships at the ISA level. So he's really making his mark right now. He's put in a ton of work over the years. Sponge traveling to all the events, but Mono had it for him, had it out and kept winning all those events. And then Sponge all of a sudden just turned it around and really started making his mark. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen later here today. They're on opposite sides of the draw. So when it comes down to the semifinals, are they going to get in the same semi? What's going to go cracking here? How's that going to work?
Yeah, we're early on, but I like your speculation. I like your, the blueprint that you're laying out. And that would be pretty exciting because we've seen these guys go excellent here in round 1, and they're patiently waiting for their next opportunity. We'll take this chance to thank some more of our sponsors. We've got the Hands with Hearts on site for therapeutic attention for our athletes. Route 99 competition and merchandise hats. There you go, Route 99. And Elite Parking. The Orchid Lay Company, Tag Aloha, custom backpacks for the athletes. Pepsi, need some of that caffeine, bruh. I know you've been off of it a little bit, Chalk, but the rest of us, we need our boost, man. Aroma Cafe, they're hosting the Pauhana party for the volunteers and athletes. The Moku Surf Shop, right here in Waikiki. Kokua Foundation, we've got a water filling station doing our part to eliminate our plastic usage. Thank you, Kokua Foundation. And Bottles for College, collecting and recycling. So that is really a great program. Parley, hosting a pool party with the Indie.Club. Alloy Up Sunscreen. They've been around for ages, decades. Man, I remember Alloy Up. And I know people say Alloy Up, but Hawaiian, I cannot help. But here's Mark Mono Stewart on wave number 2. And just the speed he generates with those bottom turns, he gets around these sections with such ease. It is amazing to watch.
Yeah, Mono just, I like to call it style council when you got those guys that just know how to throw the style in where it needs to be. And Mono's got that really sly bottom turn. He generates so much speed and so much power to be able to pop the tops on those. And, starting the tour in Byron, which is his event, his hometown, seeing him surf that wave, he scored a 10 at the national event. Sick little barrel, tucked in, just super local knowledge, home cooking. So you get some of that here because Mono's been coming here for 10 years, so he knows this break. You're going to see a lot of different people that have been surfing this contest for many years. This contest has been running for 18 years, so I've been coming since 2014. I've been surfing here a long time. But then you're going to see some of these newcomers, Rocky, that have just put in some time just recently in this last week. They're starting to study this break, see how it works. Queens, even though it's a one reef break, depending on the swell and how it's hitting, you're not always in the right spot, and sometimes you got to paddle into a little bit more inside when it's big stacking, and hopefully we're going to get some more push in the swell later in the week, tomorrow and the next day. It looks like it's going to be 2 to 3 plus. We might get some more push, and the trade winds are going to be out. We're going to get that offshore wind. The shape of the waves are going to be a lot better. We're going to see a lot more of those waves hold up on the inside in this mid-tide, Rocky. It's going to be really hot action coming in the middle of the week.
Yeah, we are early, about midway through this heat number 3. Then we're going to be switching divisions. We're going to go to our prone assist division, which enlists our volunteers, into the ocean, into the water. So right now, these surfers are unassisted. So just to kind of take it through some of the different words and vernacular that is used in adaptive surfing, these athletes kind of rely on volunteers for their assistance in and around the waves, but on the wave, it is totally all the athletes. So, it is so great to have this volunteer community that really converges, like I said, and we have Hands with Hearts already on paper as a sponsor, but it is truly hands and hearts that come together, and we got waves on the outside that is yellow. We'll get to the action whenever it pops up. Dario Melendez, Papi from Costa Rica, Pura Vida, my friend. Okay, so he gets on the board, and we'll catch you up on live heats here with scores coming in. So Mono, his second score of 5.0 with that keeper 8.33, and Michael Foti yet to get on the board.
Yeah, Michael Foti needs to get on the board. Mono just sneaking that one in. Dariel also throwing down a really nice-looking wave right there. We're going to see what the scores show up as. We're going to see what's going on here with the live heats. But Michael Foti getting on the board finally. White taking off, milking this one on the inside. And we'll see what they come up with. We're looking to see what Dariel got. Mono really threw up something. We didn't get a huge look at it, but he had so much speed coming around the corner that I have a feeling that he got something. So he's sitting on that two-wave score of 8.33 and a 5.0, but we're waiting on more scores. And we'll see what those, but we're getting still a nice little push through here, Rocky. Even though the trade winds are kind of throwing down a little crumble, the way Queens breaks on that reef, you're still going to get connectors. You're still going to get really good scoring opportunities.
Yeah, a little bit of little more southerly direction in these winds than normal. So they're still coming from the east, but we like the east-northeast will kind of give us a little more offshore. And another third score coming in for Mark Mono Stewart, elevating the game here. Going with our highest score of round 1. Gosh, I'll let you do the honors. Chaka, tell us what it is, bro.
So we didn't get to see what Mono did, but he snuck in there and he threw down a 9.0. So Mono sitting on a two-wave score of a 17.33, throwing it down. I told you, Rocky, he wasn't going to be stoked to see those big scores. And here comes Dario Melendez. Poppy with a nice top turn, little snap right there, trying to catch up to the section, trying to stay in the pocket. Nice little check cut back right there. And he says, you know what, the work's already done. Everybody right now is in combo. Mono has thrown the entire division in combo, Rocky.
Yeah, that is 5 minutes remaining now, and somehow, yeah, you said it, he snuck in a 9.0. Leave it up to Mono Stewart to just sneak in a near-perfect score. Good Lord have mercy. Tell you what a legend Mark Mono Stewart is, 8.33 and a 9.0. That's safe to say he's probably going to be qualifying for that final round, even if he doesn't paddle out in his next heat, but, you know, he's not to be denied. He's not going to pass up the opportunity to ride Queens, you know, with a couple guys, and you can see his achievements. He wants perfection. He's already achieved it, you know, once before with 210s. He'd be the only surfer to ever do it twice in a lifetime. So I know he's got his eyes set on some kind of prize where, you know, I feel like he's a guy that always is seeking improvement.
Yeah, Rocky, at 64 years old, this guy is charging hard, still throwing up excellent scores. Not one excellent score, but two excellent scores. And I had the privilege of watching his free surf session day before yesterday. And all the beach boys right here on the cheering him on as he sat in a sick little barrel and got spit out. So we had a nice little swell bump a couple days ago, and Mono just pulling in, and it inspired the Beach Boys to paddle out. They said, Brad, are we going to go paddle out? So they took off, and they went and joined Mono after he saw the big barrel he got. So Rocky, Mono throwing it down with a 9.0, really setting the standard for this division.
Yeah, AccesSurf YouTube channel. That's where we're broadcasting this event live. Here's Dario Melendez again. And down the line he goes. Fits in a nice cutty right there. Top turn, but just a one maneuver. If we do have a replay of Mark Mono's 9.0, this would be a good time to test our replay capabilities on the broadcast. So if you guys got that in the studio, we would appreciate that, but all good. We're just day number one, kind of working through the variables, the kinks, the bugs, all of the things that, you know, you try to put on an event live. You got salt, you got sand, you got wetness, you've got, you know, especially here at Waikiki, just the massive amount of activity, human activity, beach activity, all kinds happening here at Waikiki. So, you know, just to get something up and running live and streaming on the YouTube channel for AccesSurf is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, Rocky, when you are doing stuff live at the beach, even with your family when you cruise down, the sand, the wind, the water, the people, there's so many variables. Right now, the wind is a big variable as well. So we're just trying to hang in there. If you see me and Rocky on camera, we're sharing a mic right now, which is, you know, not the best thing, but we're doing what we can right now. We're bringing you the live action. That's the most important thing. All these scores, the conditions, everything's looking so good right now. And again, we're just working out a few bugs, and by the end of the day, we're going to be up, rolling, style.
We'll be humming along, and you said it. We're using a mic. We're sharing a mic. Hey, we're adapting, bro. This is adaptive surf jam engine. We're always adapting. We're creatures able to move and shake, go with the flow, all of those things. And what a great event, bringing all of us together here at Waikiki. As Dario Melendez looked at that wave, you see that crumble that Chaco was talking about, a little bit of southerly direction in the wind. It's not quite the side offshore that we usually see. So a little bit of just the adjustment in the angle of the wind creates a little bit of chop on the top. Sometimes it can be a little helper, you know, let you give you a little nudge to roll into some of these waves. But I know as most surfers prefer that smooth face. Here's a left. Mono Stewart going left off the top. Just a little bit hung up there. That wave on the left does not hold as much of a tight lip as the right-hander because it does drop off very deep there. You mentioned the swell needs to be much bigger for that left to work, but hey, Mondo's like, you know what? I got an 8.33 and a 9. I might as well try go left.
I think at this point, Rocky, he's just taking a victory lap with, I don't know how many minutes are still left in this heat, 20 seconds. So that was just a victory lap left. We, again, had a little bit more of a pulse earlier in the week where that left was coming through. Mono was on it. Here we got Dariel maybe last second. He is up before the buzzer. Dariel down the line. Nice little cutty into the section right there. Trying to stay with it. He's hoping that this one can connect. He's still in combo, but he needs to just get a better score. He's sitting on a two-wave score of a 5.17 and 3.17. Maybe he can deuce that 3.17, but that heat was very exciting. We will be coming through with a heat switch right now, division switch. We are going to the prone assist division right now, Rocky. It's going to be a different ball game.
Yeah, so that was the end of heat number 3. That was the end of our division for our men's division, the kneeling upright division, and definitely stealing the last-second heroics, stealing the show. Mark Mono Stewart with that 9.0 and 8.33. We saw Sponge Williams with an 8.5 earlier in the round, and everybody chasing those two guys in the red jerseys. But here now we are into the prone-assisted division, our men's division. Heat number 1 will be Lee Ferrier, Matthews, Vander Huth Luna, Jose Martinez will be in yellow. So Matthew in the white, Lee in the red, and Jose in the yellow. And this is prone-assisted heat number 1. And so no scores yet, but let's talk about our assisted division, our prone division, and some of the things that are required for these athletes. Chaka.
So in the prone division, this is an assisted heat. You have a pusher and a catcher. So the pusher obviously is going to push the athlete into the wave. He's going to ride it all by himself. Then he's going to have a catcher on the inside that can retrieve the athlete and get him back out to the pusher. Now, obviously, in this division, you have people that need complete assistance in the water. So, but you have a variation of injuries and disabilities, Rocky. You have guys like Jose Martinez. He's a 2-time AASP world champ. He is a triple amputee. And then you guys got guys like Jesse Belauer, who's a complete quad. So you're going to see a different level of surfing, different styles of surfing in this division. Some guys have core, some guys have a use of one arm, and then the quads have use of no arms, and they're surfing on their elbows. So it's up to the judges to really define what a 9 from a guy like Jesse's going to look like versus a 9 like a guy like maybe Jose Martinez. Now, Jose is a world champion as well in the ASP. So there's been a battle between Jesse and Jose going on in this whole thing, from the ISA all the way to the AASP and the U.S. Open Adaptive Surfing Championships. And this event, Rocky, you know, part of this event used to be part of Duke's Ocean Fest, and that's a week-long celebration of Duke's birthday in August. That's a beautiful event. They have so many beach games, lifeguard games, paddles, stand-up paddle surf, all that kind of cool stuff to celebrate Duke's birthday. But when you come out here, this event carried so much weight during Duke's. That's what we used to call it. This wasn't Hawaiian Adaptive Surfing Championships. You just said one word, Dukes, and that was it. Now they cut away from that 5 years ago, and this is where they made their own bones. The Hawaiian Adaptive Surfing Championships has really cut its own path, laying its own identity now, and that carries a lot of weight on the tour.
Well, just to see it grow into this international field of competitors, and also into, an actual tour where you have surfers that are able to travel and compete at different locations. It really does, put a lot of emphasis on the capabilities of these athletes, and also just the kind of the inspirational value, entertainment value, all of those things that are required for pro sports. People have to want to watch, people want to have to participate. These guys riding waves is what people want to see, and also get inspired by seeing someone who, has been through a lot physically, emotionally, mentally, and still able to have a smile, get on the water, and go do something that a lot of folks don't have the courage to do, which is get out on the ocean. And, guys like my friend Jesse, who have been doing this for decades, and such a fierce competitor. Like I said, I've known Jesse since we were like 11, 12 years old, first meeting each other at NSSA Nationals at Lower Trestles, where he was competing and, kicking butt in surfing, and then, was surfing a beach break near his house and had an accident that put him where he is now. But that competitive drive, that determination, can never be taken away from him. And I feel like a lot of these athletes just put this inspirational display of determination to us that are just walking around, not used to having those kinds of things, are really, really pushing the limits and inspiring all of us to do more than what we can do.
Yeah, it's going to be a joy to watch these guys because you got a two-time AASP world champion Jose Martinez in this division, in this heat particularly. Coming up, you got two-time world champ AASP, and you're defending AASP world champ in this division, Jesse Blauer. So these guys have been flip-flopping back and forth. Jesse's the original champ 2022. Jose came in 2023. Jose back-to-back 2023, 2024. Then Jesse comes back last year, 2025. So whose game is it this year, So unfortunately, Jose didn't make it to Australia, so when you miss a stop, really damages your opportunities to create, the points needed to get to the world championship level. But it's going to be a joy to watch these guys battle it out in this division.
Ratings or no ratings, Jesse knows that if Jose's not there at this point of the rivalry, then, he knows it's a wash. But when Jose's there, I feel like what you're saying is like, they're keen on, pushing that level of competition, that healthy competition, and we say it all the time, shake hands, be friends, whatever on the beach. Once that horn blows, there's no friends, bro. So it's going to be a interesting setup this week. We're still early on, obviously, heat number 1 here. No waves ridden yet in this assisted prone division, but it is going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. But you still have very, very avid competitors and capable competitors lined up all throughout this division that are ready to snatch it. As soon as Jesse and Jose get distracted with each other, who knows who might sneak up from the backside and take it.
Well, right now, one of those guys is Lee Ferrier. Lee Ferrier took the Australian event, the first event, and here goes Jose on a bomb. Nice turn right there, little Jose coming down. Another little check top turn, getting some speed, racing the section so we can get a nice top turn at the end of that. Jose in yellow, another nice bottom turn, generating a lot of speed. He's got a big smile, sticks out his tongue with a half a claim right there. We're going to see a big score right there from Jose. But right now, Lee Ferrier in this heat is actually your points leader, winning the Australian Adaptive Championship. You got also Cliff O'Gralton, who got second in the rankings right now, and then Jesse, and then Tomoki Fujiwari. So guys like Christopher Waker, he got 6th over there. So, and guys got like Jack, Agent Chaos, Curfy. You got guys all up and down this whole division that are going to kind of want to try to creep in there. And but Jose throwing down the first gauntlet.
Yeah, that score comes in at a 6.5, so immediate, somewhat keeper off the bat for yellow Jose Martinez. And Jose coming out of the United States, and Lee Ferrier out there out of Australia. And he's in the red. He's up and riding now. So Lee working back towards the whitewater, using the different wrist and grab techniques there. Down the line speed, going off the top nicely. Can he continue? Just a little incomplete there, but I like the idea going towards the lip. Now, you might even be thinking, why don't these guys just ride a boogie board? They're prone. But there's things that you can do on a surfboard length of ride, pocket positioning, and things like that, where you get so much better propulsion, so much better trimming and angles with the surfboard that they're riding.
Yeah, you're going to see, Rocky, in this division, again, across all these divisions, you're going to see different boards, different styles, and Lee's got a lot of more mobility in his upper body than guys like Jesse or somebody else that might be in this division, Tomoki Fujiwari, guys like that are true quads, that really have limited mobility of their hands. Christopher Waker's another one of those guys that surf on their elbows. But you're going to see the different styles in those boards too. Jesse, for years and years, working with Bob Hurley on his boards. Ben Way's been sliding in there every once in a while, getting some props in there, sliding in with combination that he's doing with Bob and Benny. But you'll see Jesse's boards really glide. You'll see a lot of different styles on these boards and what they look like and the styles of their surfing, Rocky.
Well, and it's so interesting in this prone division. You have that mix of abilities and capabilities, and you mentioned some on their elbows. You saw Lee Ferrier there able to plant his wrist and his palm on the board for that extra leverage. So that definitely is an adjustment of where you can go on the wave and what you can do. There's yellow and white in your frame right there. Matthew Vanderhoek Luna in the white. Jose Martinez in the yellow. Lee Ferrier joining right there with his volunteer pusher. So you mentioned the pushers and the catchers, and then also our water safety, huge player and participant in this division of prone assist, because a lot of these athletes, are not able to use certain parts to be able to swim. So floating, knowing how to survive the wipeout. Talk about some of the wipeouts these guys could have,
Yeah, Rocky. Some of these guys can't even flip themselves over in the water. So the jet ski is allowed to take them back to their pusher or their catcher, whichever's closest. The jet ski is not taking them out to the break. They're just either water support can get them out of the impact zone to a safe spot, not take them to a spot where it's going to catch them a wave. So that's kind of the standard that they've set here. They've been using the jet skis here for long before the tour started. So these guys kind of set that standard of what water safety should look like, but it's so different between our tour stops now. So Australia and Oceanside, vastly different. The break at the pass is breaks into the bay, and the current sweeps in there, and you have to really have a different style of water safety. And also at Oceanside, it's such a gnarly beach break, and you got the pier to contend with, that you really have to watch out. So you have layered water safety in Oceanside, where you have shallow water safety, then you have deep water safety, because the impact zone is so different than what you get here. When what you get here is the channels, and yeah, look, if you get stuck in the impact zone at Queens, you're not in a good spot, but you do have the opportunity to swim over to the channel and save yourself a little hassle, getting pounded so much if you can get out of it.
We're hearing a little bit from our friend Eric of North Shore Prosthetics and Orthotics, one of our big sponsors here, title sponsors. So I want to say mahalo to Eric and his great company and all that he does for these adaptive athletes. And he's got some gear down here. If you guys are watching on AccesSurf YouTube channel and you want to come down here to Waikiki to get this event in person, by all means, come on down. But if you got to, just kind of watch from your office laptop, make sure your boss doesn't sneak up on you and catch you not working and watching this adaptive surfing championships. Well, hey, do what you got to do. We appreciate you tuning in. It is a joy to be here and an honor to watch these athletes and everything that they do. Here's our great look at the volunteers and their positions, and their helpful assistance, as this is the prone assist division for our men's division. Coming up next will be the Waveski division. That'll be you, Chaka, and the crew. And you guys got a thick field of tough competition. So it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out for the Waveski division. And our prone assist division is the featured division at the moment. And you can see that little texture on the water from these kind of changing winds, swirling kind of variable winds. We're hoping for our more normal trades to come later in the week. That'll kind of give it a little more side offshore feel. But, as for now, it is, surfing is an adaptive sport in general. We're always kind of reacting and adapting to the changing conditions of the ocean. And so, surfing, I think as a life lesson sport, kind of like, you get back on the horse, you get back on the board, the wave can make you feel vulnerable for moments at a time. And you kind of, sometimes in life, you got to just let go until you can regain control and control what you can control. So surfing as an adaptive life teaching sport, I think is really something we can all learn from.
Yeah, Rocky, these guys we're learning lessons every time we go out in the water, and we got about 5:40 left in this heat, Rocky. Next up in the booth, you're going to have Elena Nichols, the legend. I call her the American Badass. She is a trendsetter for the women in adaptive sports, water sports, and also in adaptive skiing, basketball. She is a 3-time Paralympic gold medalist. She's the first woman Paralympian in U.S. history to win gold in Summer and Winter Games. She is a multi-time world champ, and she's won this event numerous times. Her and Mira Nelson, Mira Va from the island, have got a great rivalry going. And here goes Matthew Vanderhoof Luna from Costa Rica. Got some Pura Vida on this guy. He's speeding down the line. Nice turn. You hear the Costa Rica contingency in the background, loving it. Nice turn on that one, trying to find the pocket. Kind of catches that fat spot, Rocky, but he's going to get on the board right here. He needed a good score.
Hey, bro, that's the PVC, the Pura Vida crew, bro. They are here representing Costa Rica in the house. We love it. Great wave there for Matthews Vanderhoof Luna, and he'll get on the board. Lee Ferrier was able to post a 4.33, not as high as he'd like to go, but you got to start somewhere and start building your scores early on in this round one. But if you don't get your scores here in round one, not to worry. You get a whole nother chance to surf, as this is non-elimination professional adaptive surfing here at Waikiki. So kind of adopting the Hui Backdoor Shootout, if you guys are familiar with that event that I've had the privilege to call for the last decade or so. It's a great event that relies solely on just round robin, multiple heats surfed, compile your scores type event. This event's going to be kind of a mixture of that plus some elimination stuff as we get on further towards the final. But right now, everybody is out there just having a good time. No pressure. That's what I like about this kind of system and this format, is no pressure out there to kind of scramble for waves. Sometimes you end up paddling for waves that you don't want because you need this little 3.5 or something. So we kind of throw all that out the window and the pressure along with it.
Yeah, Rocky, we're going to see the swell is going to fill in a little bit more tomorrow. The wind is going to switch around a little bit more. So this is the reason why we do the round robin, because the conditions and tide that you get today might not be the conditions and the tide that you get tomorrow. So you might get not the greatest conditions today with the little onshore winds, and then you might get that clean, really great push tomorrow where you're able to bust up your scores. Guys like Mono and Sponge, they're already sitting on those excellent scores. So some of those other competitors in that division are going to be wanting to hunt for some of those other scores. I'll be hunting for some scores out there myself, so I'm kind of trying to get like a little eye on where I should be and try to get a little cheat code here and there. And in comes Eric Welton, title sponsor, North Shore Prosthetics. Used to be one bad ripper on the tour, but used to could, but now he's just throwing money at us.
So we are Just about 1 minute 50 seconds remaining, and we appreciate all of you out there bearing with us as I'm sure things going in and out as we kind of adjust to the conditions of the day. Not only are surfers adapting, but our broadcast team and us announcers adapting to the different variables that we work with, and being in sun, sand, salt, wind, Waikiki, so much going on. I'm sure there's more than one satellite beaming up all kinds of signals around here. It is the the land of many forms of activity going on in the water, on the beach, in the hotels behind us. So we've got lots to work with here. So appreciate you guys tuning in on the AccesSurf YouTube channel, witnessing this Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship live and direct from one of the most amazing locations right here at Waikiki. And we're under a minute now. And Matt Vanderhoof Luna with a 4.5. So he's going to keep that score into round 2. And Jose Martinez, a 6.5 and a 4.7. That'll be tops so far in this division. But this first heat, we've got a few more to go.
Yeah, Rocky, you guys got 3 more heats in this division to go. Again, we are going to be welcoming in the true American badass, Elena Nichols, 3-time Paralympic gold medalist. Will be calling the heats with Rocky after me. I'll be signing out, and you guys will see me in a heat in about an hour and a half. But Vanderhoof right here, Matthew from Costa Rica, trying to milk the last seconds out of this heat. And there goes the horn. Rocky, it's been a pleasure calling these heats with you. We'll be calling more heats during the week. Big love, my brother. Much respect.
Hey, aloha, Chaka. Right on, bro. Best of luck to you coming up with these conditions. And Chaka's off to prepare for his upcoming round 1 heat and watch the conditions, get all the info he can. Shaka, Chaka, my brother. And so, yeah, I'm Rocky Cannon, bringing you live action here from the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships in Waikiki. We're going to bring in Elena Nichols, who is going to be joining us here in the booth. And, so our surfing action, we got heat number 2 of the prone assisted as Elena makes her appearance here. Hello, and we'll be sharing a microphone, just so you know, for the time being. We've, got all these elements to work with, so having one microphone is where we're at the moment. I'll move this out of your way. You don't really need this. I'll be listening to our director's calls here. But say hi. We're on camera. And Elena, please introduce yourself.
Hey, everyone. My name is Elena Nichols. I am here at my 12th AccesSurf. It's incredible to be here. I'm so happy to see this community come back together and grow exponentially. It's been amazing. So I look forward to calling these next couple of heats with you, Rocky. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're very welcome, and it's great to have you here. And Chaka was introducing you as the true American badass, which the list of your accolades are very fitting for that moniker. And we're in heat number 2 here. So you'll see the prone assist men division. We got Tomoki Fujiwara in the red. Christopher Waker, he's in the white jersey. Corey Obunjan is in the yellow. And Murray Seipel is in the black. And so this assisted division, relying heavily on very dedicated volunteers, which is amazing to see. And what Chaka and I were discussing earlier was the format of the event. Non-elimination here for the first couple of rounds, which is great, no pressure. But also just, as you said, the community vibe, everybody getting together, and not only cheering on these athletes, but getting hands-on, involved, which is great.
Yeah, so many of these prone assist guys rely so heavily on their pushers. Most of them are quadriplegic or have some impairment in their upper body, and so they're not able to actually paddle into the waves themselves. So they have a pusher that will help them read the waves. They both agree on when to go. The pushers aren't pushing them without their consent. And then when they're on the wave, they're actually using every bit of their upper body that they have control over to to be able to move and maneuver their board and cut across the face of the wave. It's incredible to watch these guys, and there's usually a catcher on the inside. Most of these guys can flip themselves over and be able to wait for them, but then they get a paddle back out, they get a push back out, and back into the lineup to start over again.
Well, it's definitely a full body workout for our volunteers, and then you said it so perfectly of just the different uses these athletes have, and it's so subtle of what we can see on camera, but when you get up close and you see them in live action, there's so much going on. And a lot of these surfers come from a wave riding background, even before their injury, so they do have a sense of wave judgment that never leaves you, I feel like. So that is always you just have to kind of now compensate for your different equipment that you're using and the abilities you have now. So I know, so in this heat we have quite the international field too. So any of these guys that you know in particular in this heat?
Yeah, actually, I was just going to mention, for example, Christopher Waker. He's our East Coast friend. He was injured in a ski accident. And, anybody that comes as a crossover athlete from the snow world, they know how edges work. They know how to carve, whether it's on a wave or on a snow, surface. And so, Chris, he broke his neck, so he's got limited mobility in his upper body. But the way that he knows, to your point, that doesn't leave you. How you read a wave, but also how you ride something doesn't leave you. And so the way that he's been able to adapt has been incredible. He's only been surfing a couple of years now, but has been charging full send ever since. And so I think this is going to be a really strong heat. And, it really comes down to wave choice for these guys. It's a lot of work to push them into the wave and then get them back out. So it'll be exciting to see how they choose which waves to surf and how it goes.
And it is interesting that when all is said and done, because that same kind of wave judgment and wave selection, it's across the board for any surf competition. No matter what you're riding, no matter how you're riding, that wave selection, the ocean, and what it delivers, and you're able to be in the right place at the right time. All of that comes down to your performance and what you're able to do. So, I like how no matter what kind of board you're riding, no matter how you're riding, it all is so simplified, of wave selection and positioning. But these guys have the great help of volunteers that assist with that positioning, but they're the ones calling the shots. Hey, get me over here, get me over there. That is something, like I said, that never leaves you. And Corey O'Bunjan from the U.S., he's out there in the yellow jersey. And you said Christopher Waker from the East Coast, and he placed third in the U.S. Open of the adaptive surfing and third overall on the tour at the moment. So we got some stats to give you here as we're looking through the list of these athletes. And Tomoko Fujiwara representing Japan. We've already seen one of our Japanese competitors in our kneeling and upright division. And what do you think about the conditions today? I mean, you've been out here a few times before. How does this kind of measure up to your Queen's standard?
Yeah, we see White up and riding. Good ride for Chris Waker. Gonna use every aspect of this wave. To your point, the conditions here today are, a little bit slower. The wave is waiting and waiting and waiting to break. So just catching these waves is going to be a challenge, and positioning is going to be really what makes that possible. So Chris Waker, that was a great ride. A lot of what happens with the prone assist division is the judges are looking at the ability to maneuver that board. And so each of these athletes has a custom made surfboard that was fit specifically to them to see if they could lay flat on, and they're going to need to plane like we see Red up and riding. He's going to use all of his shoulder strength to stay on the face of that wave. Tomoki you can cut back. You can see he's using his head to maneuver the board and really lean forward onto the wave. And I mean, like the fact that these guys are out there first and foremost, but then doing everything they can to ride a wave, I feel like Prone assist is one of my favorite divisions to watch.
We talked the word of the event. I think is going to be inspiration, and the creativity, not only in the ability of each athlete and what they're able to do on these waves with what they're able to use, but also the creativity of the equipment. And if you can get a look at some of these, maybe later on in the broadcast or later on in the coming days when we have different cameras up, we can get some close-ups of this equipment, because it is just so amazing, the innovation and the creativity that is required to give these athletes the maximum performance, and also for safety as well. So they got these handles and things they can grab onto that are enabling them to get in different positions on the wave, because I got to say, growing up as a surfer on the North Shore, having crazy wipeouts, I can't imagine wiping out, and not being able to use my arms or something. That is just the level of bravery and courage to get out there for these guys and girls is something that I admire greatly.
Yeah, and to your point, the ingenuity that comes with being an adaptive surfer, these athletes, it's really trial and error, right? There's been so many people that have come before us and taught us their ways, but when it comes to your specific disability, it's up to you to figure out how you want to ride a board. You're changing your fin setups. You're looking at different types of padding and positioning on the board that'll help you drop in, but then stay centered on the wave to ride it. And it's really such a process for these guys to figure it out. And if you look closely, a lot of these in this division specifically, these guys, they don't have hand function, so they're relying literally on their elbows to pressure each of their rails and to be able to drop in on the face of these waves. So yeah, it's really interesting. You can see the handles on the side of Murray's board here. He's going to hold on to those if they're going up and over the whitewash, and it looks like he's going to give this one a look, paddle into. Let's see how his ride goes. Oh, he's going to back out of that one. But yeah, it's just such an incredible division, and to your point, like being out in the water without the use of your arms and just laying on your back waiting for somebody to come get you, like that's dedication. That is like, I need this. I don't just want to surf, I need this. Okay, so there's Murray on a wave. That's a great look for him. He's gonna see how long this ride can go. It looks like he's gonna dig the nose and barrel roll that. You'll see him flip over. We've got his, look at all of that water support. Adam land there right on the dot. So much support here. And that's why we love this competition. Like, one of the few places you can come and just rely on this group of volunteers with AccesSurf to keep you safe in the water and allow for you to learn and grow and become the surfer you really want to be.
Yeah, I mean that is the shot that says a million words right there of the camaraderie, the community. That is so difficult, even with these waves, being 3 to 4 feet, but every little nudge and movement of the ocean creates an obstacle. So you see some weight bearing down on that side to get Murray back and over prone. Like that right there is, we got to give a round of applause. If you're watching at home or at the office, clap and give these guys a hand, because that is true ohana right there, community. And to get Murray back on the board, getting ready to get out and get another wave, and he was flying across the line on that wave, caught the rail, buried the rail, went over, you said like a barrel roll, unintentional, of course. That was a wipeout, but just the composure and the the reliance on these volunteers with their hands in their hearts, really, it is it's moving. It's quite moving to watch.
Yeah, a lot of times these guys work together so often to figure out how is the best way to get me back on the board. You can see his legs need to be positioned, his arms need to be in the right spot. Sometimes they actually flip the board upside down, put the athlete on it, and then flip the whole thing over. So it's like, there's so much, room for creativity and to figure it out. And then we've got Jim on the sled there ready to pull him back out to the lineup. Yeah, these guys, nothing will get in the way of something you truly love to do. You have to surf. Okay, fine. You're quadriplegic. No problem. Let's get you out there. And that's why, AccesSurf has paved the way for the adaptive surf community. They've been doing this for years and years and creating opportunities for folks like me and Chris Waker there in the white to get out and do something that they love to do. And, a lot of times these athletes are professionals, they did get injured and that they want this elite competition opportunity. They don't want to just go out and free, everybody loves a free surf, but we were talking about competition earlier. One of the things I love so much is this finite amount of time, 20-minute heat. There's so much strategy involved. You have to have your wave selection down and then the performance on the wave. Like, I love that high pressure situation. And then, it comes down to the buzzer, truly.
Yeah, no, well said. And there's so many things, the human spirit that you can't remove. An injury, obstacle, a disability, a challenge that cannot remove that drive on the inside. And as you said, the athletes that come from professional backgrounds, the ones we've mentioned that had competitive experience before this, they haven't lost that edge, and they want to keep that edge and whatever it takes. And, the community, the AccesSurf, who we'll talk about now for a little bit with our information here, has had a huge role in keeping that fire burning and enabling these athletes to hold on to that edge and still activate that part of them that is very, very integral in their being. It cannot be removed.
Yeah, the ability to express themselves at the most elite level, right? That's essentially what everyone's doing at an Olympic level, right? Everybody has a different body. Everybody has different function and ability, and we're given the opportunity here at AccesSurf to perform to our fullest potential. And that's what people really, to your point, that spirit of competition and the thriving you want to just feel when you compete really well, that doesn't leave you even if you are paralyzed from the neck down. You still want to do it. And look at this. We've got Ryder in yellow. That was a really great drop. He's going to probably need to cut back on this if possible. Yep, that's a great ride for yellow. Super long ride.
And on the outside, that is white. That's Chris Waker. You talked about Chris and his snow background. Look comfortable in that white water, that's for sure. From one white element to another, as watching him there. That's Chris Waker. We saw Corey O'Bungeon in the yellow. And nice carving cut back there for Chris. But AccesSurf, founded in 2006, guess what? That means 20 years in the making. 2026 now, and AccesSurf founded in 2006. So 20 years of adaptive surfing, adaptive water sports. They've got programs here on Oahu, expanding over to Maui. And, the monthly programs include, the Wounded Warrior Day for veterans and a swim program with Rehab of the Pacific. So that is something you can participate in. And quarterly canoe paddling at the Honolulu Pearl Canoe Club. And also multi-day surf camps that they've organized with Craig's Hospital all the way over in Denver. So just talk about, just a great, not only national but international reach. AccesSurf has been, at the top of the list for this growing sport.
Yeah, AccesSurf, congratulations on 20 years. That's incredible. For a nonprofit to thrive for 20 years, you know how much money that takes, how much time and effort on behalf of everyone at AccesSurf. And, you know, it's driven by this passion because they know how it makes a difference. They know how it changes lives. And for me, on a personal level, I broke my back in a snowboarding accident when I was 17 and became paralyzed. You know, I was a 3-sport athlete before my injury, and I really needed this outlet, right? And I'll never forget being on Oahu. I was here with my grandma on vacation. I ran into a friend that said, "Oh, you should check out this program called AccesSurf. They'll take people with disabilities out surfing." I called Kara. She was on her day off and said, "Meet me at Queens." She took me out, got me on my first wave, and I like to say it ruined my life because I had to keep doing it. Here we go, Ryder in black.
Yep, that is Murray.
Dropping in Murray back on the wave. He's going to ride this one out straight, and you know that's probably not going to score as high. Judges really like to see, you know, riding the face of that wave, but you know, right now in these conditions, like getting on a wave is kind of an accomplishment for these guys. So, but going back to my story, you know, it was like life-changing for me to get in the water and to surf a wave, and I've been back every year since. I think we got Chris Waker back on a wave. Let's see if the camera can catch him. I can see him from here, but the camera there. Oh, we've got both. Oh, yeah, there you go. Corey, great ride down the line. You know, these boards are in the prone division. They're typically longer, right, for the whole body to lay on, and maybe the feet are dragging, but they're planing really nicely in these waves. And so, you know, getting to be a part of this community now for 12 years, it's changed my life. I'm so grateful for this, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this community and celebrate 20 years with AccesSurf.
Well, you've experienced more than half of that with AccesSurf, and really great to hear your story, and we'll hear more of it as we go along. We're going to watch White here. Chris Waker. Wow. Chris, off the bottom, off the top, avoids one of the catchers right there. Almost ran him over, but able to maneuver that board so well. Man, you can see why he's one of the top performers in this division. Stoked on that one, giving the head nod. He likes it. His volunteer swimming up to him, probably telling him that was a sick ride, bruh. Yeah. So, waning seconds of this heat as heat number 2 of the prone assist division comes to a close. We'll have heat number 3 coming up next. We're going to do a little monitor change for our booth here, get us a little bit of a bigger and brighter picture to call the action. And it's Rocky Cannon and Elena Nickel right now giving you the play-by-play as this heat will come to a close. And we'll just take a short break while we change monitors and let you guys chill and marinate on some beautiful Waikiki Beach here at Queens, Hawaii, South Shore, site of the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships. I feel like you've done this once or twice.
I've done a little bit of commentary with the ISA.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then I played wheelchair basketball in college, and I was just at the collegiate tournament, so I did a little bit there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
So.
Yeah, it's so fun to have all these like different platforms to showcase like even like junior lacrosse in Connecticut is live somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
For the families and for everybody that, you know, and there's always I believe like you know, people that want to see something, you know, cornhole, whatever it is. Yeah.
Pickleball.
Yeah, exactly. So we are still live with you guys as we're getting our monitor changed. We don't have a picture for us up and running at the moment, but you guys can see that we are in heat number 3. Jesse Billauer, the legend, my friend from age 11 or 12 when we first met at the NSSA Nationals at Trestles way back when in the early 90s. Jesse Billauer's in red. Bailey Van Den Hoeven is in white. Andy Zirzel is in yellow. And John Price in the black jersey. We're in heat number 3 of the Prone Assist Men Division, round 1, heat 3. And all these surfers will be surfing without the pressure of advancement. They'll just be getting to surf, get their scores here, and then have another chance on another day to surf. How do you feel about the format of, I know you said earlier you like that kind of, pressure with the buzzer beater and all of that, which we'll get to probably, further in the competition, but talk about this format we've adapted here for this event.
Yeah, I mean, even though there isn't all the pressure in these opening heats, it's still really up to you how you want to handle the time that you have in a heat. And what's so important is in every heat is really your wave selection and your ability to perform. A lot of folks watching may not know, but judges are scoring on the complexity of the wave, the difficulty of the wave, and then while on the wave, they're looking at your speed, your power, and your flow. So that means they're looking at how you're, throwing your board at the top or bottom of the wave and how you're combining those moves throughout the course of the wave. And, all of those coming together, that's how the judges are scoring. So they're not looking at your disability necessarily, they're looking at your performance. And so, a lot of these athletes, while they're not under a huge amount of pressure right now, they're definitely wanting to perform at their best on all of these waves. We just saw Jesse Billauer take off on his first wave with a immediate rollover there, but he's getting started. His team will get him back out in the water. You can see on Jesse's board, it almost looks like he's got fins on the top of his board that actually keep his legs in line for staying on the board.
That is Black John Price. So this men's division kind of crossing all generations. We've got, younger competitors mixed with, guys who've been at it for a little bit, and then they're more experienced legends like this guy John Price here. So that is now we've got a bigger monitor, which is great. We can see things much better. Thank you to the production team. Mahalo, you guys, doing a great job with all these elements and variables that we have to work with at Waikiki. I'm sure there's a few different satellite signals flying around here, to say the least, with all the beach and shoreline activity of Waikiki. It is quite the interesting scene always. And me being from the North Shore of Oahu, this was always a fun treat to come down here for a couple days and see the wild side of Oahu, the concrete jungle. But our screen's down for the moment, so we'll just talk you through some of the athletes here. So Jesse Billauer, coming from California, has a company called Life Rolls On, a nonprofit. Being that he's been rolling for quite some time. I believe he was 14 or 15 when his injury took place at a beach break near his neighborhood in California. And we've got also in this heat, we've got Bailey Van Der Hoeven and representing Australia. So we've got a global presence here in this heat. Andy Zirzel. Andy's from the U.S. He's a West Coast champ, currently ranked number 10. So, I mean, when you got a 10th ranked athlete out here, you've got, quite a number of athletes competing.
Yeah, one of the most powerful things Jesse Billauer did after his injury, and some of the other folks in this competition have done the same, he started a nonprofit called Life Rolls On. And what he does is exactly what he needed at the time, which was to get back in the water and get out surfing again. And so what Jesse does with that program is incredible. He's got thousands of volunteers throughout California and the country, and they all join together for a Life Rolls On event, and they get people out surfing for their first time in a very safe environment, give them a taste of that salt water that gets them hooked, and the next thing you know, they're here at AccesSurf wanting to compete. So, it's a really beautiful copacetic relationship. But yeah, Jesse, he's handled his injury in a way that's truly inspiring for so many. He has twin baby boys that he's been able to father and raise to be young surfers, and it's just a joy to know him and to watch his growth and watch him continue to support so many others.
Yeah, we got John Price, who's from right here in Hawaii in this prone division as well. So that's the list of the roster of athletes in heat number 3. And and you can attest to that, introduction to, because you never surfed before your injury. And so that's kind of what kind of steered you in the direction of bringing you here. And we kind of used to catch the little phrase, got the bug. So, once you get that bug, it is hard to shed. And once you've been bitten, you need to get that feeling over and over again. And that's what AccesSurf does, and Life Rolls On. And it's cool to see so many different nonprofits spring up in different places. And I was just reading our list of nonprofits, that have come together here. And, it's quite the healthy list of different engagements in different environments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's never enough, right? There's so many people with disabilities. I think I don't want to misquote anything, but there was like 41 million people living with a disability in the United States alone. And these are people that need movement because it's medicine. And look at rider in yellow, Andy, sending it. You can see him moving his weight forward. That's just an effort to try to keep staying on that wave and dropping in. So that was a great ride for yellow. But I've always been a big proponent of talking about everybody has the right to play and move their body. It's not a luxury. It's truly something that everybody deserves. And programs like AccesSurf and Life Rolls On and the High Fives Foundation, they believe in that too. Movement is medicine. And truly, with, taking a little risk of sounding cliche here, the ocean heals, and we all know that. It is truly something that you almost can't explain. You get out in this warm Hawaiian salt water, and it's like a spiritual baptism. I needed it more than ever when I got here just 2 days ago, and I feel like $1 million.
Well, and, it is the best place in the world to be, sharing this beach with tons of friends, tons of visitors, tons of locals that have been here for decades, taking folks in the water. So the experience level, definitely something that is offered here at Waikiki. As we watch some more waves rolling in for heat number 3, Jesse Billauer in position. And Jesse up and riding, gets into this one, and he is going NASCAR speed down the line, cutting back, slashing. And you can see the head movement, the shoulders, the core engaging, and Jesse working back to his left and sliding back across the line, changing direction. That was a high-scoring wave for Jesse. The main maneuver being on that outside portion and, looking like a gladiator ready for battle right there. Jesse Billauer, a true legend and warrior in this division.
Yeah, talk about a pro. He was able to recover on that. He looked like he was going to dig his rail, but this is not his first rodeo. He saved that, was able to turn it into a cutback. And, man, Jesse, world champion, I mean, what are you going to do? He's going to show up, and that speed down the line, talking about getting your board dialed, Jesse has figured out what works for him and, also, just his wave knowledge. He knows exactly where he needs to be on the wave. You can't really, in adaptive surfing, you're not able to really step on the back right to slow down. But the way that he paused on that wave, he knows he needed to kind of wait for the wave to build a little bit, and he was able to kind of stall it. Incredible work.
Oh man, the broadcast gets better and better. Now we got scores on the screen. The graphics are filling in, guys. I'm telling you, we got a little bit of a postponed start for the live broadcast into heat number 3 of the day, but as we progress, we'll be getting tighter and tighter, and tightening all the loose ends that we got here. Like I said, putting on a beach broadcast live around the world is not an easy task. And so, speaking of not easy task, these surfers competing here are just world class as far as determination, courage, and bravery to be out there. And we saw Jesse Billauer with the skill. He was going like Mach 20 down the line, so fast, and able to change direction with that subtle movement of head and shoulders and core, and really showing us how it's done in the prone division with the assist of a pusher. And now, they're doing the wave calling. They're kind of telling their team where they want to be. And I liken this to almost like NASCAR. You've got like your pit crew. You've got your guys handling this part and that part. Truly a team effort. And, you don't think of surfing as a team sport usually, but in this sense, it is truly a team effort. And so great to see everybody doing their part perfectly, including the athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about how much trust you really have to have in your pusher, and Quinn Waitley was talking at opening ceremonies last night. Her dad is her pusher, and her dad's gonna want a little bit more for her than maybe even she wants, and has dropped her into some bombs. And so, I'm sure they've had words after a hard crash out, but it's really important to trust your pusher and be able to make really great wave choice calls together as a team.
Yeah, you've got your support crew. It's like like you're trusting the guy to put your lug nuts on your front right tire as you're going 200 miles an hour. He better do his job good. And so, like this adaptive surfing assist division here, you've got so many moving parts with people and hands and hearts that athlete has to have the ultimate amount of trust. You're right. And, and that's, I think for humans in general, that's sometimes a hard thing for people to do too, is put that much trust in someone else. But that really kind of puts you over the edge of, human relationships and how these things evolve and develop and how you can reach your maximum here. And that is like the maximum amount of trust right there. That is huge.
Yeah, I hate to break it to everyone listening, but all of the people that are here today are temporarily able-bodied. Everybody's going to need help at some point in their life. And one thing I know from being disabled at 17 is it's such a beautiful thing to receive support and then to give it back, right? It's a copacetic relationship that I truly think is like the glue that keeps it all together. We need each other, and I really think that that's part of my lesson as a person with a disability, is knowing that I'm not any weaker from receiving help and support. It's a working relationship, and I think it's so beautiful. It creates so much more impact on people. We see Jesse Billauer going for another. Let's see how he maneuvers this board. Beautiful cut back there. He's going to head down the line, try to get a little more speed out of this wave. He's going to cut back all the way to the left. Length of ride is going to count, but those maneuvers are beautiful. He's got his board dialed there. You could see how easy that turn was.
Yeah, equipment and kind of development of equipment has been a passion for Jesse, I know, for decades now. And it's kind of always a work in progress. And as you said also, everybody's got different body types, different body abilities. Even for some of these athletes that might evolve, they might get a feeling back or a usage back or something like that, or something may go out. It's a ebb and flow. That is something that conventional athletes a lot of times, especially for me, a competitive surfer background, and never experienced anything too traumatic as far as physical injuries and stuff, but just the chasm you can go into, the abyss of so many possibilities and so many different elements and variables to be involved is kind of mind-boggling for me to look at and watch as these athletes develop and go through different equipment styles and then their bodily functions as well. So it is truly amazing. Jesse, we're going to check on his scores because I feel like he's put down some big scores as we watch White. This is that's Bailey Van Den Hoeven. And Bailey, you see him able to be upright there for off the elbows, for a little different positioning, and then back down for some momentum going forward, displaying the different style of riding. And we're going to catch up with Heat 3. So Jesse's got an 8.27 on his second scoring ride. That was a big set we saw. And then his last ride was a 6.57. His ride before that was a 7.67. And this is black. That's John Price. So John Price getting that length of ride, looking for the connection, and gets it almost all the way across. That wave fades out. But Jesse with two great scores.
Yeah, Jesse has the field comboed. We're not surprised by that. He is a world champion at the ISA level and, of course, has a professional background. So it will be really fun to see how this competition progresses for him. One thing that Jesse's been really honest about with his journey as a quadriplegic is how truly hard it is sometimes. And, so many of the athletes that are here right now, we struggle every day. But when we come to AccesSurf and we get out in the water, any surfer knows this. Your problems disappear and nothing else matters than riding a wave. And I think that's the magic of what's going on here too, is we don't have a worry. I mean, this is such a beautiful competition. We don't have a worry in the world. We're here enjoying ourselves. And I just wanted to highlight how incredible this organization is and this competition. But all that aside, we got some people that want nothing more than to win this competition too. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. We're out here trying to win and take a title home.
Yeah, the competition level, the competition kind of enthusiasm is definitely felt across every division, men and women, both alike. And we talked about something that's hard to remove from especially athletes that have that background already. But then you get these new athletes who've been introduced to it via AccesSurf, and all of a sudden they get this bug of not only surfing but also competition. As we watch John Price on the inside, not going to quite get into that one, was just maybe trying to get something before the end of the heat as we're approaching under a minute remaining. But that drive to win, and Chaka and I talked about it for a moment of like, once that horn blows, once that heat starts, you're friendly and shaking hands on the beach, but in the water, there's no friends. Here's Jesse Billauer on another beautiful wave, a lot of speed. You can see that board working perfectly with his body. He knows every inch of that board and exactly what it's going to do in these waves. I'm sure he had some good warm-up sessions as well, but really showing us from round one that he is here to win.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just fun to watch this guy perform, and that'll do it for the round two of the men's prone assist division. Looking like we're gonna move on to another prone assist division, and then we got the Waveski men coming up, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we've got heat number 4 of our prone assist division, and we'll introduce those surfers in a moment as we ended heat number 3. And then, as you said, Elena, we'll be moving to our Waveski division, which is always exciting to watch. Those guys have been really some of our top performers in this Adaptive Surf Championship and some of the most fun to watch. So in heat number 4, in the red jersey, will be Cliffo Grelton. In the white, Jack, a.k.a. Agent Chaos Curfy in the white. Shea Eastham in the yellow. So it'll be a 3-man heat. So Cliffo, Jack, and Shea will be here in heat number 4. And our assisted surfers in heat number 3 making their way back to shore. And so you been kind of with the AccesSurf program for 12 years, you said. Was it always straight away competing, or was it a process?
Yeah, it was so interesting how it worked out for me. I caught my first wave. Like I said, Kara and the team took a day, on their day off, took me out surfing. And while we were out there, Kara said, "You should come back for our competition. It's called Dukes Fest." And I literally said, "I just caught my first wave. What do you mean, competition?" And next thing you know, I'm buying a plane ticket out to Hawaii to compete in my first Dukes Fest. And, I was super green and was figuring it out. I really couldn't even finish a wave without falling. But that's how it all progressed for me, getting into the scene. And I met some of my favorite people, Spike Kane, Chaka Webb, all of the classic AccesSurf folks that are part of this. They welcomed me with open arms. And now we're seeing 2 people on one wave. We got our man, Shea, up and riding. And White, let's see how this is going to play out with a potential infraction. We'll see what the judges do with that. We talked a little bit about the competition side of that. I'm pretty sure that was Jack Agent Chaos causing some chaos. Maybe that's why they call him that. Maybe he was drawing that infraction. We'll see what the judges say. And but yeah, my involvement at AccesSurf hasn't been all about competition, but it's been mostly for the competition. I was really lucky to come out last year for one of AccesSurf's big fundraisers. We were at a beautiful home just on the other side of Diamond Head, and just got to enjoy and celebrate everything that AccesSurf has done and raise some money for the program. So at that time, I was able to go up to the North Shore and get to see our friend Ann Yoshida's farm and cultural center. Got to spend some time in Haleiwa, which was amazing. So I've gotten a really good experience with the island of Oahu. I've been to Maui a few times, and I don't know, man, I think I need to move here.
Well, where is home for you right now?
Yeah, so I live in Reno, Nevada. My husband started a nonprofit in Truckee, California, which is right across the border. It's called High Fives Foundation. And so we do a lot of what AccesSurf does. We help folks with disabilities, spinal cord and brain injured folks get back out in the outdoor space and enjoy themselves.
So from Reno to, say, I don't know, Haleiwa or, Ho'okipa, Maui, Oahu, that'll be quite the transition. But I see your High Fives Foundation here on the list as well. So thank you for your contributions. You and your husband contributing greatly to this event and to the overall community as a whole. Rocky Cannon, Elena Nichols here, and bringing you some live broadcast of Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships presented by North Shore Prosthetics and Orthotics, coming to you live from Waikiki. And we are sharing a mic right now, so we're passing it back and forth, which is all good. We adapt to the conditions. This is the name of the game. We're at the Adaptive Surfing Championships, so we're able to adapt to different things that are thrown at us and bring you this live competition. So hope you guys are enjoying on AccesSurf, the YouTube channel. And right now we're in heat number 4 of our prone assisted division. We saw big scores from Jesse Billauer in the last heat. We saw Jose Martinez in heat number 1 throwing down some scores. And so far this heat, lower scores on the board, but we're still early on here and looking for more from these assisted prone surfers as we progress. And it looks like Red eyeing this one up here. This is Cliffo Gralton, and from Australia in the prone assist division, and shredding nicely, going for the no helmet surfing here, using some style. Two-time Aussie champion, number 3 last year in the 2 years ago, 2024 in the ISA. So experienced competitor is Cliffo Gralton.
Yeah, for everyone out there watching that isn't aware, there is an Adaptive Surfing Professionals World Tour. There was an event in Australia, this event here in Oahu. We've got the Oceanside event, and, it hasn't been running very long. I think it's been three or 4 years that we've had multiple stops on the World Tour, opportunities to get AASP points and take an overall at the end of the season. So, it's a super exciting time to be an adaptive surfer, to get involved in this and be able to travel the world and compete. Oh, I forgot to mention the event in Japan as well at the wave pool. The Japanese have been so welcoming to this community of adaptive surfers, and we're just so grateful for the opportunities we have to travel, to surf great waves. We've got Agent Chaos on another. Just ripping, actually carrying so much speed down the line here. He's going to use every inch of this wave, try to stay on top of it. And, these maneuvers are all going to add up to a great wave score for Mr. Jack, Agent Chaos. Great ride for White. We've got about 13 and a half left in this heat. Shay's going to take a look at that one. It's not going to hold up, so I'll pull off of that. Try to get back out in the lineup. We got Cliffo leading this heat right now. Yeah, the wave scores aren't super high at the moment, but we'll see if this the swell will give these surfers something to work with in the meantime. We've had such great waves for the last 3 days. It's kind of died out a little bit today, but we're hoping it picks back up here in the coming days for the competition, maybe even peaking for the championship.
Yeah, so we are hoping for some swell increase and some consistency. That's the name of the game. I think with a lot of competitions is you're hoping for many opportunities for each athlete. And so far today it's been, kind of pulsing here and there. We've had some great opportunities. We had some great scores. Here's Red. This is Cliffo once again. So he was able to get back out and get the priority for this wave. Shredding right over some swimmers there, some catchers. Of course, they know how to get out of the way of these surfers coming down the line. And I want to say thank you to our water safety teams out there, not only to our volunteers that are on screen there, but we've got Pacific Ocean Patrol, DJ, and his crew taking care of our athletes via jet ski, and there they pop into the screen as checking on Cliffo, who just rode that wave. The wind a little bit more southerly today with that kind of side onshore. You see a little ruffle and some of the texture on the wave there, but that'll be hopefully cleaning up as the week goes on. And, this week, I think we'll start with kind of tricky conditions like this, but improve throughout the week. So that's kind of something we can look forward to. Are you competing this year?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I am competing. I'm in the women's wave ski division. One group of, one way that we surf is called wave skiing. You haven't seen it yet, but it's a way we've adapted. It actually used to be really popular in South Africa and parts of Australia because it's a little sharkier down there. folks wanted to surf but leave their legs out of the water. So they sat on the surfboard. You strap in at the waist and use a kayak paddle to paddle into the wave and sort of maneuver while you're on the wave. And that's what I prefer to do. I love the feeling of kind of sitting up, feels like I'm standing. You drop your hip into the wave to maneuver the rail into the water, and it's one of my favorite things in the world. So yeah, I'll be competing. I actually will head out in the water around 157, I think is when my heat is.
Yep, I see you right here.
Yep. And you know, we've grown a lot. The women's division, it's a hard sell, right? We've got a lot of equipment in the Waveski division to take out in the ocean and have to handle. So it's hard to find women that are willing to kind of paddle out with one of these pieces of equipment. But when you do find them, they get the bug too. And so yeah, I'll be competing with 2 other women in that division that are actually newer surfers. One of them, Andrea, I gave one of my old boards to, and Haley will be in my heat as well. She's a newer surfer. So, my role, and I think a lot of other athletes with AccesSurf take on this role, is really to mentor these girls and help them learn, just the basics of where to catch a wave, when to start paddling, finding your position, and then how to perform on it. So I'm excited to keep growing and helping the women's division grow.
Yeah, there are a lot of different elements that have to combine for that great score, and everybody in competition, you're chasing your best score, the big score. And there you see great footage now from our production crew and our B-roll camera getting some action from the shoreline, and the way we're able to get these athletes up and down the shoreline with these padded things. Because, Hawaii, we have soft sand, and not like a lot of other places around the world with hard packed, you can ride bikes on some of these beaches, but Hawaii is very well known for our soft, very deep sand. So AccesSurf was one of the first, in Hawaii here to provide these mats that have folks be able to roll onto and get access to the shoreline. So such a great thing to be able to see and show you guys live on camera. And so, the Waveski, I've seen some of these guys, in past footage, in the early 90s, just like blowing tail with these Waveskis. And so exciting division. And you've competed in so many different things, Elena. Give us just maybe some of the different elements you've competed in, and just how, of course, they're different, but from your experience, what each one provides.
Yeah, so after I broke my back in the snowboarding accident, I actually found wheelchair basketball by accident. I was rolling through a gym and saw a whole team of people playing. I used to play basketball as a 3-sport athlete growing up, and so when I saw wheelchair basketball, I literally had a jaw-dropping moment where I didn't know that people with disabilities could be so athletic. They were shooting 3-point shots from a seated position, and it just kind of blew my mind. So I played wheelchair basketball in college and was able to actually take that all the way to the Paralympic level. I competed in Beijing in 2008 with the women's wheelchair basketball team. We went into that tournament undefeated, left with the gold medal like a Cinderella story. And, from that point, I felt like I could literally do anything. So I picked up my second sport, which was alpine ski racing, got back onto the mountain, and within 2 years, I went to 2010 in Vancouver, and a rookie on the team had nothing to lose. I went home with 4 medals and became the first female American to win gold in the summer and winter games. So it was pretty cool. I made history. And, after that, I really wanted to keep competing. And one of the options that had just been introduced to the Paralympics was sprint kayaking. And it was right around that time that I learned how to surf, and I just knew I wanted to be on the water. So I have to take a pause for this right here.
For sure. We'll always call attention to the water. That is Jack, Agent Chaos. Oh, Jack with the huge floater. Oh, my goodness. What a beautiful maneuver from Jack, Agent Chaos Curfy. And you see the twin fin setup he's opting for and the different adaptations on the deck of that board, keeping his body in line, in tight through any type of maneuver, including a huge whitewater climb that you rarely see in this division. But that was truly speed, power, flow with radical implements for Jack Curfey. And out the back, having a look at this, here's yellow. This is Shea Eastham. And Shea, first going west, now going east. Eastham down the line, looking for a floater himself, getting inspired by Jack's last wave. And you see that movement forwards and backwards, using the forearms and the elbows, the shoulders, all the core engagement. Just very, very cool to see the different types of techniques these guys use.
Yeah, and one of the hard things about adaptive surfing is if we created a division for every disability, we would have to give medals to every single person, right? So Shea might have a little more function than Jack or Cliffo or vice versa, but what they're doing is the best that they can with the wave that they're given, and the judges are going to score on performance, on maneuverability, and the length of ride as well. And so Shea doing a great job riding that wave and making the most of it. So each division is created to sort of level the playing field, right? So these are all folks with upper limb impairments in some way. And for those that aren't familiar, we have a classifier. Her name is Mo Johnson. She has a whole team of people that work together to look both medically at people and functionally at how their body works, and then they are put into a classification that is appropriate for their disability, and they compete against other disabilities, similar disabilities. And so all of these folks are working with different levels of ability, but doing amazing things with what they have. And to your point earlier about the spirit, it's crazy how you can see somebody's fire in their eyes, and the disability kind of disappears at that point. So getting back to this, Jack Agent Chaos leading with a 10.7, Shea not far behind, and then Cliffo also trailing with a 7. We've got about 3 minutes left here in the last round of the Prone Assist men's division. And then we'll move on to men's Waveski.
All right, so just getting word, too, that we get replays available, too. So we're going to, we'd love to queue up that last replay of Jack Agent Chaos in white. Jack's white, in the white jersey, that wave where he just elevated over the whitewater. That was so impressive. Especially for our division here. That's definitely one of the maneuvers that is going to get high scores. Here's red. This is Cliffo Gralton out of Australia, sporting the dready hairdo, down the line speed, and the big goatee. So he's got style, he's got speed, he's got maneuverability. He's got it all on this wave. That's Cliffo Gralton getting a nice score. And you see our standings there. Those are obsolete at the moment. 1, 2, and 3 are just how the scores are, but these guys will all be surfing again to get the best waves possible. And that format, I believe, is the most fair format that will give us... So this is the replay. And look at that. Boom! Somehow survived to the bottom of that wave. That... huge kind of like whitewater rafting, just charging the rapids, was Jack Agent Chaos Curfey. And here's live action of Jack. And down the line, off the top, beautifully done, carving to the bottom of the wave. You see so much maneuvering. It's almost like he's got joysticks at the front of his board there, so opting for those kinds of handles like he's flying a fighter jet, So cool to see the different implementations of equipment.
Yeah, truly. And, it's up for interpretation. Anybody that joins the Adaptive Surf community can put it together any way it works for them. There's endless possibilities in figuring out what works best. And you saw with Shay's board, he's got a pretty sizable wedge underneath his chest that's going to keep his body upright. You know, he might not have the strength in his arms to hold himself, so they've created this really cool wedge system that's velcroed onto the board. And now actually they're making boards that have that integrated into the board. They're called float boards. You can look them up online and just buy it. It'll get shipped to you. So that's a pretty standard design, but a lot of these guys have they all have a very custom board.
So we're also kind of working with our location on the beach here. Tomorrow we're going to be tucked in a little further back away from our live speaker and starting and ending horn that is, you know, a little bit loud in this position, but want to say mahalo to Ezra Rodriguez up in the live beach booth, giving us the beach announcing throughout the day. Always awesome to hear Ezra, and we'll get him in here in the booth on the broadcast for some heats as well. But this is the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship. That was the end of heat number 4 and end of our division, our prone assist division. Now it'll be on to our Waveski men's round 1. Jesse Hinson in red, Richard Julian, a true legend in this division, in the white jersey, and Chris Johnson in yellow. And all 3 of these competitors have been at it for a while. So, Elena, are you going to sign off here?
Yes, Rocky, what a joy to sit next to you in the booth. It was so fun to call this with you. I'm going to invite my fellow female surfer Victoria Feige into the booth to call the men's Waveski division. So much fun. I'll see you back here soon.
Elena, thank you. We'll see you soon. All right. Best of luck in your heat, too. Have fun out there. So Elena's going to go prepare for her heat coming up a little later. And we'll exchange athletes to join me here in the booth. I tell you what, it is truly my honor and pleasure to be here. You know, this is the first time in a few years that my schedule on the North Shore has jived with the schedule of the event to have me here. I've been a part of these events when they were with the Duke's Ocean Fest during those times, as well as a couple of other times it was later in the month of, or earlier in this month of May. So now we're at May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo if you're celebrating out there. But right now we're celebrating our first day of competition of the 2026 Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships. And we have Victoria with us. And Victoria, you're going to say your full name so I get your last name correct too.
Great to be here, Victoria Feige. It's a German name, but I appreciate all the love.
And Victoria, you competed earlier today. You were in our kneeling and upright division. So tell us a little bit. You're the one of the competitors that have experience from today's conditions. So we'd love to hear how it was out there for you guys.
Yeah, I was the first heat of the morning with the girls out in the kneeling division, and it was super clean conditions, no wind, but it was a little bit soft, a little bit small, but the sets would come through occasionally, and I was on a larger board, on a 7-foot board when I usually ride a 5'6", and we have surfers up and riding. Wave skiers, yes. Rich Julian right here. Some beautiful lines, carving it up. And he is one of the co-founders of AccesSurf here. Just iconic organization that started everything, and it really has come down to Rich and Mark Marble, who started it so many years ago.
Yeah, and so Victoria, you mentioned the conditions, you know, sometimes a little bit of a wait for the sets. And then that's, you know, we kind of expect that, at least a day or two of that at Queens, you know. But we've got 4 days to work with here, so we're hoping for some more consistent and clean conditions coming up. Here is red. This is Jesse Hinson. And, you know, feel free, whenever we're talking about a subject, we can always cut right to the action because these guys are the featured stars of the show. And Jesse Hinson, beautiful cut back there on a little bit bigger board as well. So you mentioned your equipment. You're usually on a smaller board, and you have apparently you have choices of equipment for yourself depending on conditions.
Yes, I tested out my friend's mid-length 7.0 yesterday, and I was like, this is the one for tomorrow. And it worked out pretty well. I have to say, having a little extra volume, a little extra foam out there. I mean, this is an iconic longboarding wave, really world class. And you just have to make the most of the conditions. And Jesse Hinson doing quite a nice job on that wave. He hails from Australia on the Sunshine Coast, and he has been an absolute ripper. Here we go. Surfer from Costa Rica, I believe. Chris Johnson. Okay, I'm not as familiar with him, but beautiful little turns right there. And I will say this is the division that is so exciting. There's so many rippers. The guys have just been laying down these turns, and this is a perfect wave for Waveski with the channel. Even some turtles out there today. It's been gorgeous. But having a paddle to get in early and to keep momentum is just perfect strategy for today.
So that was Chris Johnson. He's out of the U.S. and representing the United States in Waveski division. We've got Richard Julian, of course, you mentioned, co-founder of AccesSurf, a name that I recognize, being in this division for many, many years, and one of the pioneers of this division, and always out there with a smile, but also ready to get down and dirty on the waves if he needs to. Jesse Hinson, also out of the U.S. here in this heat in the red jersey. So we got 4 heats of this division. What I like, Victoria, is that even though the waves may have been a little slow this morning and kind of shopping around for the best score, kind of feeling it out too. Each day on the water is different, and but the format so great. You get to surf again.
Yes, I do think it's wonderful that we've got at least 2 heats for all of us, because you travel from so far, and you never know what your heat will bring. And Rich Julian just coming a little bit unglued from that one, but it was a beautiful takeoff. And Rich is leading the heat with a 6.1. And Jesse Hinson following it up with a 4.6. And Chris Johnson, here we go. This is Jesse taking off. Nice little turn. Here we go, staying right in the pocket. Power source. And yes, making the most of that wave. Beautiful, beautiful trim. And I think that might take him up into the lead with that last wave.
Yeah, that was a nice ride, and I like your comment of staying in the pocket. That's really important. And with these wave skis, it's not easy to do all the time. And with those thick rails, it really is that kind of core distribution that will enable you to hang in the pocket. That's Chris Johnson right there. And the shafts on these paddles a bit shorter, just to get the blades in the water quicker for more efficient paddling. We were just talking with Chaka in the morning, and then we've had Elena. We've been talking a lot about equipment, and you've already kind of alluded to a little bit of a last-minute equipment change for yourself. So, all the things that go into being a pro athlete, especially a pro surfer, and the equipment that you're choosing is going to be incredibly reliant on the daily conditions. As we watch Jesse just sneak over that one. I bet he was trying to maybe get in position to catch it, but could not quite get in the right spot. He's got a little bit longer board. Rich opting for the shorter, kind of thicker board, as well as Chris Johnson. We'll see how the rest of this field, and the different kinds of equipment that they bust out.
And I do know that Rich Julian has a whole garage full of wave skis and quivers, and he is ready. He's surfed Queens more than anyone. He knows this wave like the back of his hand, and he came prepared today. I think that if he just gets on the right wave, he'll jump right back into first. And I, even though I surf mainly in the Neil division, that's my one, I did do wave ski for a couple years on borrowed equipment, on Rich's borrowed equipment, on Elena's, on Chris Oberle's. And I will say that you really want the wave ski to fit you perfectly. It should be shaped for your body, for your height and your weight. And you can surf other people's boards, but if you can have your own personally shaped board Waveski for you and have the strapping at the hip right and also any back support that you may need. Most of these surfers out here, they don't have a ton of back support. And so they've got full core, it looks like, for most of them, because that makes a huge difference in paddling, leaning forward, and then getting that rotation to really, you need those obliques to help bring the Waveski around. Here we go. Look at that. That's the rotation right there. So the more you can get the twist with your trunk and midsection, beautiful trim. And then it's a bit unstable in the whitewater. There we go, onto the open face, and beautiful little turns right there. But the more you can get that rotation through your trunk, the more you can get those high scores.
Yeah, I like your terminology, the obliques. Yeah, that's an important part of this wave ski competition. You're going to be engaging those almost on every single wave. And it'll be those athletes, those surfers that can really crank that bottom turn, get it high off the top, as we've been talking about the critical sections of the wave. Here's up and riding in white. That's Rich Julian. And Rich coming around the corner. Nice couple of turns there for Rich. Going to get back to the white water. Keeping that board moving, changing directions nicely. So that's Jesse Hinson you see in your graphic. He's got the top spot right now, but obviously non-elimination. So those numbers are, for the moment, obsolete, but it's just good to know who's got the big scores and who's got the keepers on the board. And we'll get you those individual scores with about 10 minutes remaining here in Heat 1, Round 1 of the Waveski Men's Division.
I will have to shout out Rich Julian for teaching me how to wave ski when I first started and letting me borrow his equipment, but also coaching me about how to take off. I mean, you really want to paddle yourself onto the wave in the right position, because you can't really do a steep late drop on a wave ski. It's just too much volume, too much length. And so you really have to angle that takeoff. And then Rich was the one who really showed me how to fade the takeoff here at Queens, because he's like, this is what you want to do. Just find the little takeoff spot and triangulate your position. And then if you can, deep bottom turn after a little fade and then stay right in the pocket.
So, Victoria, you talk about Queens and Rich teaching you how to surf this wave, and you're right. It is a very specific wave that when you can master it, when you can, master may be a strong word, because the ocean is always the master. You're never going to master it, in my opinion. And it's always about being in sync with the ocean. You're not battling. You're not taking your blade out to, go to war with the ocean. It's more like I'm taking my equipment out to just find the rhythm and be in sync with Mother Ocean. So master may be a strong word, but when you can get to know a wave very well and use it to your best capabilities to get your best score, I think that was a correct coaching from Rich, is that when you fade this wave and you let it develop, because sometimes you get in it so early, you outrun it, but you're looking for that nice tight pocket, that really good critical section. You do have to be patient with it. So that being said, where's your home break?
I'm from Canada originally, but now I live North Shore, Oahu, and Hawai'i is my favorite wave. It's just outstanding. Of course, Laniakea or Rocky Point, there's so many great waves, but there's actually a lot of waves South Shore too that, Ala Moana is so great, but Sui's down by Diamond Head, there's so many good waves on the island that it's just, I feel lucky and blessed to be here. Even with, I know Hawaii's been through a lot these past months, but you can really feel the community, the aloha. It's a special place here, and just blessed to be part of it.
So yeah, that's my home break as well. Haleiwa is where I grew up, right there across Ali'i Beach Park. I make my home up towards Sunset Beach now, and I got two little girls of my own that love surfing Ali'is, so you'll probably see us out there every now and again. Now they've got the bug. They're 8 and 10 years old, and just getting into being able to be catching their own waves, unassisted. Dad was out there swimming around. They're like, can you go in and film us? So I'm the camera guy on the beach now. Just getting to know the different waves and the different ways to kind of, make your session be the best it can be. And of course, a lot of times you're surfing with friends and surfing with people. So it's that community vibe, sense of sharing that always is a factor when surfing, especially here on Oahu. All of our spots are, on the map now. So hardly any secret spots. So we do got to surf with aloha, And we got individual scores. So Richard Julian with the biggest score so far of a 5.33. That was his very first wave. Everything else on the board is below that. Jesse with a 4.57 and Chris Johnson with a 3.6. And we'd like to thank all of you watching on AccessSurf, the YouTube channel, which is where this is showing live. If you're at work, make sure you hide your screen. Have a few screens open, windows on your computer, so when your boss walks by, you look like you're working. But we know you're enjoying this adaptive surfing action from Waikiki, world class with 90 athletes from across the globe. And Victoria here from originally from Canada, now by way of the North Shore. So Victoria Feige, one of our kneeling upright competitors that surfed early this morning, heat number 1. So she had already surfed her heat today. Here's yellow. That is Chris Johnson. Little S turns down the face. Very nice use of the rail and the paddle, engaging every bit of the core for that nice top turn. Comes around the section. Very busy on that wave. And, really kind of came alive there. He was a little bit sluggish through the first couple of waves and looked like he just got his shot of cappuccino and went for it.
Yeah, that brought like a whole, I think will shake up the heat. I think he might potentially move up into first place with that one. There was just so much speed and power and flow in that wave. It was excellent. And one of the challenges with surfing a wave ski is actually just getting through the airport, because we know flying with a surfboard can be a little bit risky, but flying with a wave ski can be even more risky because, of course you've got a bag, but one ding that gets filled with water can take weeks to dry out. And so you kind of roll the dice when you travel with a wave ski, but a lot of these competitors know that if they have a ding, they can get boards fixed pretty quickly here in Oahu. And, wave selection on that one, just waiting for a different wave for him. But that's one of the challenges with wave ski, is that it can take a long time to dry out the boards if they fill with water. Here we go, Rich Julian, that beautiful bottom turn. Yep, engaging the rail. Yep, and staying right in the pocket. And seeing, yes, all of that experience surfing this wave for so many years. Beautiful.
So he's one of the OGs, I like to say, of this wave ski competition and AccessSurf, a co-founder. AccessSurf is in its 20th year now. When did you first become aware of AccessSurf or kind of get introduced to it?
It's actually kind of a funny story. I got a text from a friend of mine, Jerry in Canada, who's a surf buddy, and he's in a chair, and he was like, there's a contest in California. Do you want to go down for it? And it turns out it was ISA Worlds, and I was not prepared whatsoever. I got smoked on my first competition, but I met Kara Short, and she invited me to come to Duke's Ocean Fest that next year. And that Duke's Ocean Fest in 2017 is where I met Spike Kane, and I met Chris Oberly and Chaka, and really I met the whole crew, and Elena and Mira, and I loved the community, and I loved the energy, and I've been coming back ever since.
Well, here we are live in the booth. I'm Rocky Cannon. This is Victoria Feige, and giving us some of her first Hawaii adaptive AccessSurf experience. And it's truly special to hear each and every story, because Elena told us about her experience and her introduction here, as well as Chaka earlier. So as different athletes come up, it is so cool to hear, how you became involved with this, what your background is, and getting to know each of you is going to be a fun thing throughout the week that we'll bring to you through this live broadcast. So enjoy what we're bringing you, the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship live here at Waikiki. Rocky Cannon, Victoria Feige, and the crew will be bringing you live action. Right now it's Heat 1, Round 1 of the Wave Ski Division. Rich Julian putting on a clinic as we expected, the OG, with a 5.33 high score and a 5.5. Also has got a 6.17 as I scroll across the board here. So the live scores is where you can watch this. So you type in live heats, and then you type in AccesSurf. It'll pop right up. So you at home can follow, because our graphic there shows their total score of their best 2 rides. But in this kind of round-robin format, non-elimination, we're plucking the best rides out of each heat. So right now, Rich Julian plucking a 6.17 and a 5.5. Chris Johnson coming on strong, his last score of 5.13. That's his best. Jesse Hinson maxing out with a 4.57. Tell us how you like this format.
I love the round robin format. I think it gives everyone a good chance to score the highest waves they can with at least 2 heats. And you never know what... We don't have a waiting period, so you never know exactly what heats you're going to get, but it gives everyone an equal playing field. And if you're scoring 5s and 6s, you're in a good position to move ahead to then the elimination rounds and finals day on Friday. And I will say, actually, it was nice to reminisce about my first competition here, because it really changed my perspective about adaptive surfing and also my perspective about what was possible for myself. And then I started to train and become obsessed and eventually moved to the North Shore. But if there's other people listening or watching at home that are curious about getting involved with adaptive surfing, whether you're in Waveski division or prone or kneeling division or visually impaired, there's so many ways to get involved. So if you want to start, you can contact us, contact AccesSurf, and find ways to get out in the ocean with a little bit of support, even maybe one adaptive surf instructor, and just start getting out there, because we're trying to build this sport towards Brisbane 2032, and we have a good chance.
Well, and I think those of you who come from, different backgrounds, especially non-ocean backgrounds, and you come in and feel this ocean, you feel this healing power of our Pacific Hawaiian waters. Safe to say, you get bitten by a bug that you cannot deny. And we're counting down the remaining 10 seconds of this heat. So it is heat number 1 of our Waveski division. Again, they're going to have another chance to surf on a different day. So it will be multiple opportunities for each athlete to compete and surf in this in their respective division. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with more action of round 1, heat number 2 of our Waveski men's division. We'll take a short break, enjoy these messages, and we will be right back with more action. Stay tuned.
Blessing, money, testimony. Go follow, you will go.
This year, good news, giant plenty money. Go follow, you will go.
For miles and miles around the world, so much beautiful people to be heard. And all of the billions of sand beneath my feet, we're all different but together to make a beat. Sound of blood, sound of the color of your skin. It's about love, it's about love, and the beauty that's within.
All right, we are back and live for heat number 2 of this round 1 of the Waveski division. And it's our men's division, so we had, Rich Julian, Jesse Hinson, Chris Johnson in heat number 1. Now in heat number 2, it's Daniel, DJ Lombardo. Spike Kane, I believe, is healing in the hospital. He flew over here and got sick on the way, so I don't think he's competing today. As we watch Daniel, DJ Lombardo, carving off the top. Wow, bearing the rail. And, wow, he looks like a true pro. And we'll get you some info. He's out of the United States, is DJ Lombardo. And then we've also got yellow Nicholas Farrell in the water here. Victoria Feige joining me, Rocky Cannon, here in the booth for the call of this Heat 2, Round 1 of the Waveski division.
Yeah, DJ just starting off with a bang right there. I know that he likes to start his heats with just get a first wave, get scores on the board and then build that house from there. And he lives in California, I believe, and surfs consistently with the High Fives Foundation and the crew out in California. And out in California, there's a wave called it's near like San Onofre. It's called near Old Man's, and there's actually a little wagon and easy parking, and it's like the Wave Skiers Central. It's like the hub because everyone knows the wave skiers there, and so other surfers will just help you kind of like hop onto the wave ski and actually with the wagon kind of just pull you into the water, and then you can just paddle away. And San Onofre's got such good waves, just like here in Waikiki, that it's a perfect rolling, beautiful place to work on those turns.
Yeah, that was my first out of Hawaii competition experience, was to lower trestles in that little zone there. There's like churches, there's upper trestles, and that whole little stretch there is quite the playground for all kinds of wave riding. And good to know that there's a crew there of wave ski friendly personnel or community there that's helping folks get in the water. And that's what it's all about with this AccesSurf adaptive surfing is, just kind of removing anything mentally, physically, whatever it is that you think is going to, prevent you from getting in the water. AccesSurf says, no way. There's never a no coming from this organization. It's always yes, when, and how, and that's something that is truly special to be a part of, as well as to witness this community grow and grow as we watch Yellow. This is Nicholas Farrell. So Nicholas and Daniel enjoying just a man-on-man heat. Now, Victoria, you've surfed out here on a regular day, a free surf day, with the hundreds of people that also enjoy surfing this place. Tell us what it's like for about 20 minutes or so being out there, just a couple of friends.
Oh, Queens with only your friends out, three other people out is a dream. It is such a world-class wave. The colors out here, and you can see Diamond Head. It's just gorgeous. And the wave itself is so fun here. DJ up and riding. He's just, cruising through this and making it onto the open face. Almost there. Here we go. And, almost buried that rail, but he held on, and a little spinaroo right there. Oh, go for the ending maneuver. I will say it's a privilege to be out here. We're one of the four competitions that gets to be out here at Queens. It's unusual to have a competition out here. It's usually the hundreds of people and Kani Tsunami and seeing the pros and then tourists and everyone. But there's also, there's turtles out there this morning, and you can feel just the energy. We're so lucky to be at this wave, and we're so lucky to also have a channel, because especially for new adaptive surfers, learning to duck dive and navigate some of the impact zone can be a challenge. So having a channel and jet ski assist really makes it so much easier. But these guys are good. They don't need any of that. They just need their paddle. And I know we're going to get some more set waves and a little more action.
Here we are. This is Victoria Feige. I'm Rocky Cannon. You're coming live in the booth here, and you talked about having a channel. We have a YouTube channel for this event, but the channel she's talking about is the channel to paddle back out, which is a place where no waves are breaking, as we watch Nicholas Farrell shred back and forth on this wave. A bit of a closeout, but he's going to make the most of this whitewater experience and, kind of maybe pretend he's at the Colorado River or something, but he's definitely working that wave back and forth. It's got to feel nice just having one other competitor in the water at Waikiki and enjoying this wave to its fullest. But yeah, having that channel to paddle out, with the calm area to, have refuge, take a little breather, very important. And, I can't imagine some of the other breaks that don't have that. These athletes really are presented with, different kinds of challenges already, but then having waves just bombard you and having to duck dive. Just talk about the implementation of volunteers, how big a impact they play.
Oh, the water safety out here and the volunteers are just incredible. They make it a world-class contest. Having the jet ski assist, and sometimes we've had Hawaiian Water Patrol out before, and these guys are so good they don't need it. But having a little bit of help with a beach chair to get in and out of the water, make sure that you can save your energy for the heat, but also protects your boards as well from getting dinged. And in case there is a critical situation, people can get to you right away. I have to give out mad props to the prone assist guys because a lot of them put a lot of trust into the pushers and catchers and their water safety team, and everyone is out here volunteering. There's such good vibes on the beach. It really is the Aloha contest. There's the best